is that interview right now. We've been talking about it all morning long. Schools, they are not going to look the same in September. That is if we do go back in September. That warning coming from Education Minister Stephen Lecce after announcing that schools will remain closed until the fall. So he joins me live right now via Skype to talk a little bit about yesterday's announcement and also looking forward. Good morning to you, Minister.
Good morning. Nice to see you, Melanie.
Good to see you. All right. So we now know what's happening. A lot of parents not really surprised by this, but I do have a lot of questions that I want to get to, some from our viewers and some from our editorial staff. Is there right now a final last day of school? Has that been put in the books? Is it still in June? Because I know teachers are asking about report cards and so are parents.
School will still end at the end of this academic year, pretty much the end of June. There will be report cards, final report cards for all students. We're asking them to be fully completed with content and evaluation. And students on track to graduate this year will absolutely remain on track to graduate in the province of Ontario, both grade 8, grade 12, and I'm reminded for my own family, including senior kindergarten kids, they're going to graduate too.
Oh, so important. But you're not going to have the little paper mache hats and all of that cute stuff for the kindergartens, right?
I know.
But, you know, it is the new reality. And I think a lot of people understand the decision, but there's a lot to look ahead to because there might be a lot of bumps in the road. So we say that we hope that students will get back in September. That could still take a different form. In your words, reimagining what that could look like. What could that look like?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you said a bit of a warning. I think I'm just being honest. I think we have to expectation manage with our kids that it's going to feel different. And, I know that's tough. Change can be difficult, especially for our youngest learners. But I think it's important that we start to condition them to the behavioral changes that'll be required, some of the new protocols surrounding, screening upon entering schools, as well as just, changes to distancing protocols that I think will have to be imposed to ensure that these spaces can be safe. What I mean by reimagining schools is just an acknowledgement that it's going to be a bit different, but it has to be to get it safe. And I think most responsible folks out there, the educators I've spoken to and parents, and even some of the students have said to me, that's okay. I just think many students want to get back into the class, and I think their parents too. But only when I can demonstrate to you, Melanie, to parents out there that we have a system in place, a very strong safety protocol, a regime that's going to help ensure, to the extent humanly possible, that these kids remain in a safe environment while they learn. And right now, given the risk profile for the month of June, we've made a decision not to take that risk and to keep them home. As difficult as that is on working people, we know this is the right thing to do to mitigate community spread and keep our kids safe.
We know that we've had a number of people messaging us talking about distance learning and how it is just not working for them. Maybe some of the students feel like they're not getting enough work. Maybe a lot of parents are saying, hey, I'm not a teacher. There's a reason I'm not a teacher. And it's hard. We're not seeing the learning that we would have seen in the classroom. I think people understand the safety aspect of it. But let's say there's a second wave. Let's say schools, kids cannot go back in person. And we have to move to an e-learning formula for the next little while. A lot of people are asking, how is that going to look? One, for funding. We know the TDSB has reached out and asked for more funding when it comes to devices and whatnot. And also, what about consultations for teachers? Do they get a say in what this whole program and reimagining could look like?
So absolutely. I mean, right now we have 8 tables of consultation, essentially 8 forums where we're consulting with our education federation partners, we're consulting with boards, we're consulting with mental health and special education experts. There's 8 consultations where we're actually seeking feedback from frontline workers, as well as parents, as well as students. And that's really going to be important, as well as medical and scientific experts that will guide our decisions. With respect to, September, obviously we realize that when it comes to safety, there will be no stone unturned when it comes to ensuring that we've got the right system in place, and that may require investment. We're prepared to ensure our schools are ready for the return. But I speak about the September return largely because I think it's important to give our kids hope, but I think the system's got to be ready. And the lesson learned is we need a strong, credible, bona fide online learning program that enables us, God forbid, a second wave or any type of manifestation of a challenge that could happen at home or abroad. I want to be able to look parents in the eye saying, whatever happens in September, we can pivot seamlessly to give a better experience to our kids. And to your point about the inconsistency, many folks are working hard. Parents have been amazing. So many teachers have learned new skills. Our kids are really trying to step up. I know it's tough on them, but everyone, I'm proud of really the entire education ecosystem, but we've got to see consistency in the application of those expectations. And the big thing I want to make the point about is the principle of synchronous live learning, that dynamic live two-way experience. I really think it makes the difference. And I get, Melanie, it's not the same as in class, but I think it can help create a community for these kids. They love to hear their teacher's voice. They love to see their friends. And I think they like to learn together. So we're just going to try to make that case and really urge our partners to be part of that solution.
I want to get to a few viewer questions, as there have been many, so I've sort of grabbed some of the repeat questions. This first one is coming to us, and it's asking specifically about lockers and belongings. A number of people have asked us this, especially some of the older kids, that maybe they've left very expensive instruments in their lockers or whatnot. How are they going to be able to get all of that back? Is there a process?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Gabriella. Absolutely. What we have done is we're working with the COVID-19 command table, the Chief Medical Officer of Health, to provide guidance to boards to encourage them to allow students to return in an orderly fashion, supported by the local health authority, to retrieve their materials in their lockers. That's for all children. They'll have to do that. We've heard this from a lot of parents. And to be fair, a lot of educators, too, with 24 hours notice, had to sort of leave and they couldn't go back. So we've allowed teachers to, working with school boards, they've allowed their teachers to return. That has been done well, and I think we now have a framework that we can scale up for kids in this province.
I've got time only for one more question, and it's one that we're getting a lot of, and it is childcare. So this coming to us from our viewer, Heather. Can we be sure that the government understands that in childcare you can't expect physical distancing? I have a son who just turned 4. He hugs and touches everyone and everything. So I totally get that. How are these strict rules going to be put into place for the little ones to understand, and how's that all going to work and play out?
For sure. Right now, the province has made a decision to keep the emergency childcare. Right in this province, we're providing childcare to our frontline workers. 1,600 kids a day are benefiting from that. And I think the system has been strong in ensuring the safety of these kids. But with that said, what we should expect is when we get to the next phase of our economic recovery. Right now, we're in phase 1, Melanie, as you know, we just started that. Phase 2, we're going to start to see the reopening of traditional childcare. It's going to have very strong imposed health protocols right now for emergency childcare, for example, because this will be the framework we will probably use. There's no more than 50 kids or people within the entire center. Every single staffer is tested. Every single person entering is screened. There must be a local, outbreak plan supported by and approved by the local health authority. And there's a variety of other regulations in place to maintain safety. That has been a good, I think, template. But I think what we're asking the chief medical officers, do you think we have to go further? And if so, what would you recommend? Because to the question, I think they're right. We're talking about young kids that an element of innocence and they don't know. And so you have to make sure that we've got the right numbers and ratios of staff to make sure that these kids can be safe so that parents can return to their work and so that we can get on with our lives.
I wish we had more time with you, but I appreciate you taking the time this morning and answering some of these questions. We know a long road ahead. Education Minister Stephen Lecce, thank you.